Hi, you must have heard a lot of speeches about why a person shouldn't smoke. It's bad for this, it's bad for that. But how many times have you heard a speech about all the wonderful things you accomplish by smoking? And that's why I'm here today to shed light on this little discussed topic of the wonderful things that come out from smoking. Let's begin with a very wonderful character trait, and that's tolerance. We all know that we're supposed to be tolerant of other people. So think about how your smoking helps the development of tolerance. Because we know that when you're smoking, you develop a pretty offensive odor, whether it's coming from your mouth or whether it's on your clothing. And when you get close to a person, by nature it's a little bit uncomfortable. But by you keeping yourself close to another person, you're teaching him to be able to tolerate unpleasant things. This might be especially useful on a date, where you can certainly check whether the person you're dating has developed that wonderful trait of tolerance by seeing how they react to your cigarette smoke. Another wonderful thing is we know that child labor overseas is a horrible problem. Little children supposedly in Bangladesh are working for Nike and for other sneaker companies. And that's really terrible. And that's because there are healthy young people who have fresh lungs untainted by nicotine and smoke, and they're able to run and to shoot and to do all sorts of sports, and they're wearing out all these sneakers, thus producing a market for sneakers and child labor. However, those people that smoke, after smoking for not so long, a person finds that they're not able to run so quick, they can't compete with their friends. So instead of being in the court in the center of attention, they're in the bleachers with their bag of popcorn and their cigarettes, thus not increasing the demand for child labor. Think about how wonderful that is. The whole smoking industry is really a tremendous triumph for advertising. And we know how important advertising is for the economy, because advertising and its success for promoting cigarettes demonstrates that with the proper media message, you can make people pay a lot of money to hurt themselves. And that bodes very, very well for the advertising agency, which is one of the economic movers of economy, especially in New York City. So we start off with some pretty obvious reasons for why smoking is so wonderful. But it's not only big advertising you're helping, it's also big drugs. Let me explain why. As we grow up, so there are times that we're bored, there are times we might feel socially awkward. So what do young people do? They take their cigarette to relax themselves or to make themselves feel a little bit mellow. So they learn to use the cigarette as a crutch instead of developing the inner resources to cope with discomfort. And once a person's used to that easy answer, it's only a small step that later on in life, when one has a problem, one takes a pill, one takes drugs, because we already have learned that there's an easy answer for everything, and we've used the crutch of cigarettes to help us out in our early years, and we'll continue to use that crutch and maybe some more crutches. And thus, big drugs is very happy with every person that starts to smoke. Let's look at the world of economics. You know that these past few years in America, we've had a mortgage crisis because the price of houses has fallen. A lot of people find themselves underwater, that they have big mortgages and the houses aren't worth too much. And one of the reasons is because there are just too many houses on the market, supply and demand. Do you realize that every single smoker increases the chance that there'll be a house that goes up in flames? Because many people smoke in bed. Smoking in bed leads to fires. Fires leads to less houses available. Less houses on the market means the price of housing goes up. And we can solve the mortgage crisis like that. If thousands and thousands of people would begin to smoke, think of how wonderful that would be for the economy. And not only for the mortgage industry, but we know that health costs are going through the roof. And one of the reasons health costs are so expensive is that we haven't found a way to cut down the prices of things because of economy of scale. If we have more smokers, then lung cancer will become so prevalent that they'll be able to mass produce all the things necessary to treat lung cancer. You've seen pictures probably of somebody in Sloan Kettering cancer ward with pipes in their throats. Now, if there's only a certain amount of cancer victims, those tubes and pipes are probably expensive. Once we have thousands and thousands more cases of lung cancer as a result of smoking, think about how that would bring down the price of health care. We might be on the cusp of solving what was considered an insolvable problem. Other economic problems we have is the Social Security fund is going to be drained. Because when Social Security was first passed into law under FDR, people didn't live that long. And today, life expectancy for non-smokers is very, very long. However, smokers are still dying early. Thus, they work, pay taxes to Social Security without draining the Social Security. So all of these smokers are actually beneficiaries of the Social Security fund and people who might make the Social Security system solvent in our times. Lastly, do you realize how difficult it must be for the undertakers? Undertakers in the industry that lives by death. And as people live longer, there are less customers. But the smokers come to their rescue because since smoking people die early, there's still plenty of work for the undertakers. So I hope that when you consider smoking, you'll realize all of these advantages that smokers bring to themselves and to the economic health of our great nation. But lastly, we know that one of the great crises facing us is global warming. The world is getting warmer and warmer. And the solution, of course, is we have to bring more cool into the world. And what could be cooler than together with your friends, you whip out your package of cigarettes and you start smoking? And in order that this picture remains embedded in your mind, I have a poster I'd like to share with you about how wonderfully cool it is when we smoke our cigarettes. Remember, we all want to be so, so cool. Thank you.